Hello, Savvy community. Happy Tuesday. I am super excited to be stepping in Abby's place today to be hosting our weekly Tuesday Live. And it feels like Monday over here in my office, Marissa. Like we just got off of a long weekend here in the US with our holiday on Monday, yesterday, Memorial Day. Did y'all get out into the sunshine? Did you do anything fabulously fun?
If you mean relaxing and doing absolutely nothing, then yes, it was amazing.
Yes. I told my husband yesterday, like we were taking it super chill this weekend. It was his birthday and we didn't have any really big plans, but I said, I feel like I'm not American if I'm not grilling outside. So we did grill outside yesterday, but we didn't have any big events. It was a great weekend of relaxation and hanging with the family. Hey, Erica, thanks for joining us today. If you guys can hear and see us okay, if you can do me a big favor, just drop a quick comment and let us know so that we know that tech is good and we are ready to jump in. Let us know, of course, where you are watching from. We love to know and see where our amazing audience is from. Awesome. So glad that you are with us. Hey, Brandy. Hey, Katie. We are talking today all about freelancing and that transition that many of you may be trying to work out and figure out of going from employee to full-time freelancer, or maybe you're just kind of exploring this whole freelancing world and trying to maneuver and figure out what that looks like for you. So super stoked to be with you today. Brandy's watching from Tennessee, Texas. Awesome. Super stoked that you're with us. Marissa, let's do some quick introductions. I'm so excited to have you with me today. You are a part of my team, but let those watching know who you are and what role you play here at TBS.
Absolutely. I am Marissa Dejatur. I am from South Mississippi. And what I do here at TBS, I work in the Savvy Vault. So if you don't know what the Savvy Vault is, that is where we have all of our virtual assistant and freelance courses that help you to learn the tech skills that you need to get your business up and running. And so that's what I do here, and I absolutely love it.
Awesome. Tell us a little bit about your family. What does your family look like? What life look like?
Oh man, so I am a mom of two boys that I cannot keep up with anymore. They're 7 and 4, and my husband and I, we are both full-time freelancers, and I also, obviously, I work here at TBS, but we have been, we started freelancing as a family back in 2017, and it's been one of those things that we wish we would have done earlier, done sooner. So yes, it is such a dream come true.
I'm so excited to have this conversation with you about freelancing. I think that our audience and even myself are going to glean some amazing tips and tricks from you and just kind of learning from your background and your story. A little bit about myself. My name is Rachel Dorsey. I am the Senior Director of Product here at the Virtual Savvy. That's just a fancy way of saying that I support all of our amazing product directors and specialists in supporting our members and our students in each of our products. I myself was a member of the Savvy system back in 2017, and then I made the decision to join the team in 2018 here at the Virtual Savvy, and I'm super stoked that I get to walk through this journey with so many amazing individuals like yourselves. So let's jump in. Let's first kind of talk about what freelancing is. Like, that's a term, it's a buzzword, right? That's used a lot in the online space. Marissa, when you started investigating freelance work, did you know what freelancing was? Did you have to do some research on that? I would love to hear that side of your story.
Oh man. So freelancing was a new term to me when I started in 2017. It's so funny. A friend of mine said that, we were having coffee and we were just talking about the next season of life for both of us. And she said, you should look into freelancing. I was like, no, there's no way I can do that. I don't like landscaping. What? I had this idea in my mind that freelancing was people who did landscaping jobs, and I had no idea what it even meant. And so we literally sat there in the coffee shop together, got on our phones, and she was like, I'm going to show you the definition of this word because it is not what you think it is. An ongoing laugh that we share. But I had no idea what freelancing was. I had no idea that it was such a wide variety of things that different people could do all over the world. And so No, I had no clue what it was. I had to do some research, and I'm so glad that I did because it's the perfect fit for me. It's the perfect fit for my family, and I
Mm,
absolutely, absolutely would encourage anyone who's thinking about it to just do some digging and
yeah.
figure out what that could look like for you.
That's so good. Thank you for sharing that. It was super fun. I think freelancing sometimes is this misunderstood term, and
Mhm.
because it's misunderstood, it's avoided. And I think you made a really good point, is just dig in, like just do some research and figure out what that could look like for you. Here at the Virtual Savvy, we use the term virtual assistant, and that's under the umbrella of freelancer, but even virtual assistant is a very broad term in what that could look like. Here at the Virtual Savvy want to teach you how to build a business that you love, doing what you love, when you love, where you love, and with who you choose. And as a freelancer, you are working for yourself, right? And you, as the individual, get to make all the choices. Thus, that free word, right? Like there's so much freedom inside of being a freelancer because you get to make all of those choices. Now, Marissa, how long ago was that kind of exploration, kind of looking and digging into freelancing work for you?
Oh man, it was 2017, the beginning of 2017, when I started to look into it, because I was at a season of my life where, Rachel, is exactly what you said. The freedom wasn't there for me. I
Yeah.
was a new mom, and we were about to have a second baby, and it was just becoming really just not the life that I wanted to live with my job and my children. My children are in my family; they are my biggest worry
Mm,
and concern. And so, freelancing, when I started to look into it and I started to ask questions and I started to get around the right people and figure out what that meant and what it looked like, it really gave me the motivation and the momentum I needed to take the action steps for myself, for my own family. And, um,
mhm.
it's, my husband at the time, he still worked his 9 to 5, but he fully supported my decision to take that step to become a freelancer. And I tell you what, it has been the biggest blessing to our family's lives. And I tell everybody all the time, it was a legacy decision, right? Because
Mm,
my baby boy, he has
mm.
no idea what it means for mommy and daddy to go to work.
Yep,
Like
yep.
we work here. And so just
Mhm.
being able to show him what that looks like and the possibilities for him,
Yeah.
it feels so good. So good to show him
I
what freedom looks like.
I love that. It gave me goosebumps when you said that, like legacy decision. That really is what it is. And we have quite a few watching today. I would love to know, for those of you watching across all of our channels, who is still working their 9 to 5. If you are still a 9 to 5er, put 9 to 5. 9 to 5 right in the comments. I would love to know how many of you are still in the thick of making that decision of whether or not I need to stop being an employee and start being a freelancer and making the choices for myself. I would love to know. So put 9 to 5 in the comments if you are still working that 9 to 5. So for myself, I'm a mama of three. I have a 11-year-old, a 8-year-old, and a 4-year-old. Everybody just had birthdays, so I was trying to remember the different ages. Um, and when I started looking into freelancing, I had no idea what it was. I just wanted to find work from home. So when I was searching, I was just looking for legit work from home opportunities because at that time it was still and still is prevalent. Like there's tons of scams. There are tons of jobs that are not legit of working from home. So I just was trying to find something that I could do from home and earn a little bit of extra cash on the side. But I had no idea what that would look like and what I would be able to offer. I was a former teacher. I worked in retail before that. And so my online tech experience was very, very minimal. So I wasn't even sure if there was an opportunity for me in this space. But then I stumbled on the virtual savvy and virtual assistants. And I realized that I can create a business, a freelancing business, work for myself all around what I want to do and what I'm good at. I'm great at email communication. You know how many emails I had to write that are like customer service type emails with parents when you're a teacher? Like, I can do that, right? I can organize a training plan. Had to do that every week, every day. And so kind of diving into who I am as an individual and what I want to do and how can I create a business around that. And it totally opened up a whole new world of freedom. Freedom to make some extra cash for our family, freedom to find something that was my own that I could pour into outside of being a mom, which I love being and don't want to trade that for anything, right? But something that gave Rachel a special identity, and discovering that this wasn't available to me was absolutely legacy changing. And we're going to talk about like our family life and what that looks like and teaching our children in a little bit. But so cool that this opportunity exists, and we have quite a few. Lori just is celebrating that her 9-to-5 just ended. That's awesome. Lots of people still working their 9-to-5. Maria and Tina, Nyla, Jennifer, Ida, I see all of you. And we know and understand the struggle that it is in getting to the point where you're ready to completely quit that 9-to-5 and go into your freelancing. And we're going to get to that in a couple questions. But like I mentioned, let's talk a little bit about our family life, Marissa. How did jumping into freelancing full time, what did that look like for you as a mama?
Man, thinking back to what it looked like in the beginning, I'm gonna tell you, it was stressful. And the reason it was is because, I went from going to work every day, getting in my car, driving away, and being gone, being absent for 10 to 12 hours a day. And so I wasn't in the house. My kids couldn't come knock on the door. My husband couldn't come and ask me a million questions about the dishwasher or whatever, And so I wasn't here. And so what had to happen was I had to teach my family what it looked like for mommy to be working at home. They didn't understand what it looked like. I didn't fully know what it was going to look like. And so I really just had to have conversations with them and just tell them, look, mommy has to focus from this time to this time. If it's not an emergency, do not knock on my door. And it was just a conversation we had to have. And really just letting them know, that there were boundaries in place when I'm working, and letting them know that is mommy's time. And then also on the flip side, when it was family time, it was family time. Yeah. So I didn't bring work to the dinner table. I didn't bring work to the park. I didn't bring work to wherever we were going as a family. I really just had to teach them what it looked like. And we had to just figure out how to make it work together for us. And I really am so glad that we had those hard times and hard conversations at the beginning, because now it flows so effortlessly. Like we have a family calendar and my husband knows, okay, Marissa's busy from here to here. So I'm going to go off with the boys and go find something to do. And it feels like it's in a really good space right now. And so having that conversation early on and really setting boundaries early on, I think is so, so important.
So important. And it doesn't matter. We were talking about this right before we jumped on. It doesn't matter. Like if you're a mom or a dad of littles, like infants, toddlers, school age, high schoolers, college, empty nester, or maybe you're just a pet parent, right? Like all of those have responsibilities in a variety of different ways and a variety of different capacities, right? So that's so important that whoever is in your family unit, whatever that looks like, that you figure out what that schedule needs to be and you have a conversation around it. Right now, you may not be sitting down with your amazing kitten and your cute puppy and having a conversation with them. No, but building a schedule around when you have to take care of them, when you have to go to the vet, when you have to go to the dog park, when you have to take them out for a walk. All of those things still apply to you. Same with your kiddos, right? Like when do they have, now we're going into summer, when do they have summer camps and swimming lessons and activities with their friends and all of those things, right? Like making sure that there's clear communication and understanding of what that schedule is. And like Marissa said, protecting the boundary of not only your work time, but also your family time. I know personal experience. When I first started this whole thing, I felt such high responsibility and obligation to my clients that I was not really good at protecting that boundary with my family, right? I would have my phone right near me, right? And I would be checking messages, I would be responding to emails. And I learned very quickly that those boundaries have to be strongly put in place, because if they're not, then I'm cutting into my family time. And am I really setting a strong example for my kids? Like, Marissa, what are some of the things that you think your kids have learned from you because of being in this freelancing space?
Oh, that's such a great question. My oldest is 7, and I think he and I have conversations all the time about what it will look like for him to go and get a job, because he sees all of his cousins that are older. They're out, working with different people in the community, and they're getting jobs. And he's like, "But mommy, I would love to do this as a job." And it's always some really crazy oddball thing, but I never want to discourage that, because that's what freelancing and entrepreneurship is all about: coming up with new ideas, coming up with new things that nobody else has thought of. And so I always tell him, you can work whatever job you would love. And we always teach him, whatever it is that you would love is what you should pursue. And him seeing that, him seeing his dad do that, him seeing me do that, and actually seeing us embody that, I think he's learned that it looks different for everyone. Because it's not like cousin, it's not like friend down the street, it's not like anybody else. It's different, and it still works. And so my baby, he's 4, he just completely is just like, I don't care what y'all are talking about, just feed me, love me, and take me to the park. But my 7-year-old, he asks a lot of questions, and he's very intuitive when it comes to knowing, how to help when I am working. Like, he'll distract my 4-year-old. Mommy's working. Let's go in the backyard. Let's play in the mud. And it's just like, he understands enough to know that this is important to mom, and when she's done, we'll have her attention again. And so I think he's learned that, number one, all the jobs look different. Everything looks different for each individual person. And that, too, like, I'm not sacrificing my job, or I'm not sacrificing them for my job. Right? They're still number one priority. And I just hope and pray that he can take that into teenagehood and adulthood, that, whatever he chooses his values to be, I pray that he can just make sure that stays at the top of the list of his priorities. And it works. It can be done, because we're doing it for him.
That's so good. I love that. I love one of the things that you said there was, he's seeing you do something that you love and that you're passionate about, and that he has the choice to make that decision for himself. He doesn't have to go into a toxic corporate work environment because that's the status quo. And y'all know, if you are in a difficult situation, and Lori, I see your comment too, like, if you're in a corporate situation that's full of anxiety and stress, and it's just a really bad situation, we don't have to be there. We have an option. We can make a choice. Is there a plan? And is there a process that we need to put in place so that we're not just quitting? Yes. And we're going to get to that today. But you have the freedom to make that choice and do what you love. That could be a whole separate live of creating packages and services around what you want to do. But you have that freedom and that choice to do that. You don't have to be stuck in the corporate box. You don't have to go that direction. You have the opportunity through freelancing to create a business doing what you love, when you love, where you love, and with who you choose. You get to make all of the choices. Something else that I wanted to kind of pull out in this topic of, balance and family life is that our children are watching, right? They're paying attention. They see, like Marissa said, he sees that Marissa values work. And I know that my children do the same. And they know that it's important, right? But they get to see that mommy's making choices for herself and that she's thriving, right? And they get to be a team player in that. I love to use that term. I need you to help mommy out. You're on my team today. Mommy has a live today. Mommy's going to be live at 12 o'clock today. So I need you to do your part, be a team player, and hang out with your brother and sister downstairs, right? And including them in that. And then if they knock on the door or if they come in, I don't want to be shamed of them. I don't want to have to apologize for them. Now, is there a time and appropriateness? Yes, but I want them to be welcome into my virtual world and what that looks like, and encourage them. And I know that I tell my girls in the Savvy system and Savvy Vault, my directors and my specialists, all of them have kiddos, right? Like, don't apologize for their presence. Welcome them, teach them, train them, and encourage them to be your teammates inside this crazy, amazing thing that we get to do is. So I love this. Oh, so good. So good. Any other thoughts on balancing mom life and work life, Marissa, that we skipped or you wanted to bring forward?
No, I think you covered a really good variety of things. I even remember when we first met, Rachel, when I mentioned one of the first things that came out of my mouth was, if my kids come in, and I'll never forget, you told me the exact same thing. Do not apologize for their presence. That stayed with me. I don't know how long ago that was when we first met, but it really stayed with me because I had developed this habit of apologizing. Like, I'm so sorry. Come in, I'm so sorry. And when you said that to me, I was like, why am I apologizing for their presence? Teaching them to be a part of the team, because that's something that I do. I teach them, hey, mommy's doing this, can you help me? And they do such a great job of it. So why am I apologizing if kids are kids and they come in and, they need me to open a juice box or, whatever. And just, reinforcing that they're a part of the team and that there are still boundaries, but it's not gonna really make or break anything if they come in while you're working once or twice. It's such a beautiful thing.
It's so cool that they get to be a part of this thing that we're doing. And it goes back to what you said earlier too, Marissa, is we made a legacy decision, right? And part of that legacy is our children. And we want them to be a part of it. We want to be a part of the change that we're making in our own lives and in our families' lives and in our generations' lives, right? I think of that viral video. I'm sure you've seen it. There was a guy sitting on a Zoom call and his office door opens and in comes the toddler in the walker. You know what I'm talking about? Right? And the mom comes in on all fours, crawling. Like, can you imagine what an instant change that video would have been if they would have just acknowledged and moved on and celebrated the kids, not apologized, right? It would have been a completely different video. It probably wouldn't have gone as viral. Maybe no. Right? But don't apologize for their presence. Embrace their presence and use that. So good. Okay, let's talk about 9 to 5. I know we had lots of people mention in the comments that they're still at their 9 to 5 and they're exploring this freelancing. Can I do it? When can I quit my 9 to 5? I'm so ready. I know Lori said that in the comments. Like, I'm so ready to get out of my 9 to 5. What does that look like as far as timing? Marissa, what thoughts do you have about quitting the 9 to 5 and going full force into being a freelancer?
Oh man, that is such a great question. When I think back to when I finally made the decision to put in my 2 weeks and I let my boss know that I would be leaving, I had already made plans. And so what I mean by that is when we're working our 9 to 5, we're working it for that financial stability. We're working it for, insurance or what have you. And so it's so important to build that bridge for yourself so that when you make that transition, it is a smooth and easy transition. And I know there's a lot of talk about, just go forward and follow your dreams. Yes, go forward and follow your dreams, but make some smart decisions first. Have that conversation with your spouse or whoever it is that is on your team and in your circle. So that way, when you do finally put in your 2 weeks and you walk away, that you have a plan and just really making sure that you have that bridge to walk across. And, it's interesting that whenever I finally did put in my 2 weeks and have that conversation with my boss, we had already been talking about it so much to where they were celebrating with me. They were like, we're so happy for you. If you ever need anything, you can call or text, or we're so happy and thrilled for your new season. And I think if you have that relationship with your boss at your 9 to 5, I think that it's so important to keep those relationships, because my boss at my 9 to 5 was also one of my freelancing clients. And so you
Mm.
never know where those relationships may lead you. And so you know what your relationships are like at your 9 to 5. And so you know if you can include them in that planning process of building your bridge, or you might just need to keep it to yourself. But number one, build the bridge first so that you can make that transition smooth and easy.
I absolutely love that simple phrase, build your bridge. And for each of us, it's going to look different. Now, this wasn't in my original thoughts or questions, Marissa, so just go with me. You mentioned something really important in that when it came time, you submitted your 2 weeks and it came time for your last day, they were actually celebrating with you because you had talked about and had conversations about your freelancing before. And I think not everybody here on the call or watching the replay is going to have that type of relationship. But for those who do, when did you know it was the right time to talk about it? How far in advance did you talk about it? What did that look like with your relationship with your employer? I would love to hear that side of the story too.
Sure, absolutely. So I first had the conversation with my husband. It really started with just him having that conversation with me, and he pulled out, he asked the hard questions.
Yeah.
He asked the financial questions, right? Because there were two incomes and he wanted to know the financial questions. And so really just having those conversations with him first put me in a mindset to go to my boss and start asking them questions of, because I wanted them to be prepared for my absence. We had such a great relationship where when I did walk away, I wanted them to be prepared and to have someone else to replace me if that's something that they wanted to do. And so it really was, I want to say 6 months when I first started having the conversation with them to when I finally said, okay, it's time for me to go. And it started out by me just asking him, I said, what would it look like if I decided to go home and be a stay-at-home mommy? And he was like, well, I don't know. Is that something you're thinking about? And it just opened the dialogue. It opened that conversation. And when I really started getting serious about making that step, I would bring it up again, like over coffee or over lunch break. I would bring it up again and say, you know what? Hey, I found this freelancing thing that I'm doing on the side on the weekends. I think I might take it full time. And really just dropping those seeds and kind of seeing how he responded was really how I just gauged how I would take the conversation. And I was lucky enough that we had such a great relationship and he was open enough to have that dialogue with me. And so we prepared each other basically for my transition. I helped them train my replacement. They helped me get settled into my work from home office because, like I said, they were one of my freelancing clients. I was able to take some of that work home and work for them from home as a contracting client. And it was just really, I think, just for me, dropping those seeds and kind of just reading the room of their response and seeing where I could take that conversation. And I understand that not everybody's going to have that relationship with their employer. That's okay. But if you do, then I really think it would be just keeping that relationship solid and strong. It would be so beneficial to have that conversation. Have it when you intuitively feel like, okay, now is a good time to drop that seed and start that conversation going.
So good. And your employer played a part in building your bridge for when it was time to walk away. And like you said, not everybody's going to have that beautifully laid out story. Many of you can, right? You have to make that decision and decide whether or not it's the right type of relationship to build that bridge together. But if you can't, inside of that employee relationship, who can you pull alongside of you to help you build that bridge? Is it your partner? Is it your spouse? Is it a friend? Is it somebody in this freelancing community, right? That you can bounce ideas off of and talk through, somebody that you can trust, somebody that's going to speak truth to you, right? But you have to have somebody so that you're not building the bridge by yourself. You want to have somebody to help you, because think about, building a bridge by yourself would be, I can't imagine, like a literal bridge. It would be very difficult. But if you have somebody to help you, right, the process can go a lot smoother. So thank you, Marissa, for sharing that. That was some amazing insight into that process. And keep in mind too, y'all, if you're waiting for that perfect time to quit, you're going to be waiting for a really long time. And may I dare even say, you may be waiting indefinitely, because this is a huge transition. And inside of this huge transition, there's going to be a level of uncomfortableness. Even in, I'm sure, Marissa's situation, even though she had celebration happening, it's still a little bit of a scary step. Right, Marissa?
100%. Terrifying.
Yes. So it's never going to feel perfect and absolutely amazing. There are going to be elements, yes. So don't wait for that perfect time. Be smart, be intentional, have those conversations, build your bridge so that you can walk across it when it's time to quit that 9 to 5, and you'll have an amazing, beautiful story. Will it be easy every time? Mm-mm. Is yours going to look like Marissa's? Maybe not. Okay. But your story is your story. And you, as the freelancer, get to make those choices. Be smart, be intentional, have those conversations, build your bridge. Oh, so good. So good. Okay. Let's talk support system. I always also want to make sure we have time for some Q&A at the end. We have some amazing comments happening in our thread too. And if you have questions, feel free to drop them and we can circle back to them when we have some open Q&A at the end. But let's talk about support system. We've kind of mentioned partner, spouse, friend. Some of us may think, I don't have a support system. Where do I go? What would you say to somebody who says that, Marissa?
You know, it's a really great question. I would say that you need to find some, and that's really the hard truth. Because the reality is, if you're in that 9 to 5 corporate setting, most of the people around you have the 9 to 5 corporate mindset. They're not going to understand what you're trying to do. They're not going to understand your dreams. They're not going to understand what you're trying to accomplish. And so even though I had a little bit of an idea of what I wanted that to look like, I still didn't know what it looked like. I did not have any models around me of showing me what it looked like. I didn't have anyone I could ask questions for. And so what I had to do was I had to go online and find groups on Facebook. I had to find different communities that were, full of freelancing people already. And what I did back then was I just started joining a bunch of groups and asking questions. I started reading through other comments inside of these groups and figuring out what are the mindsets of a freelancer. And that led me to, taking courses, that led me to hiring a coach, that led me to putting myself inside communities of people who were doing the things that I wanted to do. And that really gave me such a really great foundation of learning what that looked like and felt like, right? I was able to embody a freelancer, even though I wasn't fully doing it 100%, it allowed me to really wake up in the morning and feel freelancer-ish, right? And so I think that number one is putting yourself in the rooms with people. For my case, it was the virtual rooms, and making myself show up even when I didn't know what I was showing up for. I knew there was something that I needed to be around so that I could learn, so that I could ask those questions, so that people could give me feedback on my thought process. And I would just encourage you, like, even if you think there's not a support system, they're out there. You just have to put in the legwork and figure out where they are, what they look like, what they're doing, and put yourself in those rooms. I'm telling you, that is one of the best decisions you can do for your freelancing business.
Put yourself in the room. Marissa, you are full of great one-liners today. This is absolutely fantastic. Put yourself in the room. So good. And nobody watching this live or this replay is allowed to tell us in the comments, I don't have a support system, because you're inside one right now. Like, what we have here at the Virtual Savvy is absolutely amazing. If you aren't a member of the Virtual Assistant Savvy's Facebook group, and team, if you're watching, can you drop the link in the comments for those who may not be in the group right now? We have an amazing group of over 80,000 virtual assistants who are walking through this crazy freelance journey, right? And not only that, we have our entire TVS team in there to help and support you. And there's job ops and there's questions. We go live every Tuesday. usually, right? At noon across all of our channels on Facebook and here on YouTube. Like, we have availability for you to learn and sink your teeth into some amazing content so that you can grow and be freelancer-ish, right? And claim that identity for yourself. And you're not alone. There are other people walking this journey with you. Maybe you see that it's the right time for you to invest in some type of additional support. We have products available, right? We have the Savvy system that's going to teach you how to launch, grow, and scale your own virtual assistant business from scratch. And with that, you can also have access to the community where you can meet other virtual assistants and freelancers and connect with them and learn from our team, all of those things. Savvy Vault, if you're learning a new tech tip, platform, system, all of those things. There's a community you have access to there where you can collaborate and ask your questions and get support from our Savvy Vault team, Alicia and Chachi and Marissa. Or maybe it's Savvy Circle. Maybe you are scaling your business and you really need some support in what that looks like. We have our Savvy Circle group coaching program. There's a variety of things available for you. Maybe it's not the virtual Savvy products. That's totally cool. Pay attention to what communities are available for you to dive into and connect so that you're not walking this journey alone. You're not building your bridge by yourself. There's so much available to you. And no, we're not all extroverts, and some of us are amazing introverts. We can find that community, that way of connecting, that way of getting that support that best works for us. Find it, dig into it, and show up for yourself. Get into the room, whatever that room is for you. Oh, so good. So good.
You know, Alicia, that's a whole nother live. Extroverts and introverts as a freelancer. What are you? I don't think I know.
Extrovert.
Introvert.
Really?
Yes.
You show up. You show up in an amazing. I'm extrovert 100%. Put me in a room. I am all over it.
Put me in a room and I will people watch and absorb and take notes.
We make a great team. It's amazing. You take notes while I go interact, and then we'll meet in the middle. That's amazing.
Yes, 100%.
Okay. Why is showing up and being in the room so important? Why does that make a difference in somebody's journey?
It makes a difference because as a 9-to-5 corporate employee, you have one mindset. As a freelancer, they have a completely different mindset. And if you don't know what that mindset is, if you don't know what questions to ask, if you don't know their thought process and what their day looks like, you may possibly won't know how to build your business, because you'll be trying to build your business like an employee. You'll be trying to build your business like it's a 9-to-5, when really freelancing and entrepreneur life is about freedom and doing things your way. And sometimes you really just need to see what that looks like. We know what going to college looks like. We know what waking up every morning and clocking in and clocking out of work looks like. We got that. Easy peasy. Freelancing is a little bit of a different story. You need someone to walk that path so that you can look and say, oh, that's how she does that, or that's how he does that, or that's what their family dynamic looks like with them being freelancers. And for me, she's a really dear friend of mine. I watched her journey on social media when she first started freelancing to now, and just seeing what that looked like gave me the inspiration and the motivation to make my own action steps that made sense for my family. And I think it really, if I could think of one word, it would just be the courage to take that. Because it's the unknown of, I'm not sure how to freelance. But if somebody else does it for you and you see what that looks like, it gives you the courage to say, okay, well, I'm going to do that too, but it's going to be for me. And it's so, so important to have that system. And, for the longest time, I told her she was my mentor, even though we had never spoke. We had never spoke, but I watched her. I followed her. I listened to what she was saying in her groups. I listened to the way she was speaking, how she was carrying herself. And it was such a form of empowerment that I didn't recognize in the employee world. I didn't recognize in the corporate world. And it just really gave me that courage, you know, to take the step. And I tell her even today, like, she was my mentor even before we even said a word. So just putting yourself in that space is so, so important. If you don't take anything else away from this video, just make sure you surround yourself with the right type of noise, because you're going to have noise. It's going to be there regardless.
Yeah.
So you give yourself the right noise that, dare I say, will make or break your journey.
So, so good. Oh, Marissa, you're such a gem. Such a gem. So something I heard that I wanted to pull out from that is accountability is absolutely vital to your success as a freelancer. And I think that you need to have accountability inside of your intimate circle, spouse, partner, close friend, and they may not absolutely understand or get what you're doing. But it's important to have their support and understanding and encouragement and accountability if it's available to you. It's also absolutely important that you have somebody that understands what you're walking through. They understand that freelancing isn't about landscaping, right? They understand that freelancing is about copywriting and managing email and Pinterest management. All the list goes on and on. We won't waste time, right? Like somebody that understands what that looks like. Show up in those spaces, in those rooms, in those communities, whatever that looks like. So that you have that support that understands, so that if you have to show up, excuse me, and word vomit about the difficulties that you're going through, they get it and they understand, and they can be a great sounding board for you. Absolutely vital for your success. It may not be in a Facebook community. It may not be in a forum or whatever that looks like. Find the support that best works for you, but somebody that can understand. So good. Any other thoughts on accountability or support, Marissa, that you had before we opened it up for some Q&A today?
No, I think we did great on that. And you know, actually, one thing came to mind. I did not expect the emotional roller coaster that comes with freelancing. Yeah. And sometimes that roller coaster is all in the time span of 24 hours. It is, I'm having a great day. Actually, I suck at this. What am I even doing? I made the wrong or I'm on top of the world. Like, no, I need to go back to my 9 to 5. And like having people in my corner that had walked that road already. And like you said, going to them and word vomiting about all of that, and just hear them say, congratulations.
That's right.
You're doing the things. Congratulations, keep going. And that helped me, because it was like, oh, I'm actually not doing terrible. I'm actually not doing anything wrong. This is just part of the journey. And so just having that was priceless, because there were moments of tears and frustration and like, what am I even doing with my life right now? And just 100%. Having those people, man, I'm telling you, such a game changer.
And that emotional roller coaster is absolutely real. Not going to sugarcoat it. It's part of the process. It's part of the journey. But what's so crazy, and I know that not everybody's a roller coaster fanatic. I will ride them back to back with a little bit of space in between. But like, I get back on it. Like, it's so much fun. I want to do it again and again, right? That's why freelancers, again, true freelancer, one that's doing what they love, very key, doing what they love and enjoying who they're working with, will keep doing it. They will keep writing it and they will keep working through. It's identifying, why am I in this low? Why am I struggling right now? Getting to the root of it to make the decision and choices so that you can go back up. Right. And it's being in that community. It's having that accountability available to you that's going to help and support you during those highs, celebrating, and even during those lows when you're struggling, you have imposter syndrome, you questioning, why in the world did I make this decision? Yeah. But then again, it's celebrating, just like Marissa's friend said, congratulations, right? You get to make the choice. You get to make the choice not to stay at the bottom of the roller coaster. You get to make the choice to work hard and get back up to the top and celebrate all over again. So good. So good. Okay, let's visit the chat, Marissa. If you guys have questions, pop them in. I'm going to scroll through and see if I have any questions in here. But if you have questions for either of us, let us know and we'll be happy to pull those up. I love what Alexis says here. I'm nervous because I carry the insurance for my fiance and I, but I'm so ready to leave my 9-to-5. Alexis, I think that kind of points back to what we were talking about of building your bridge, right? It's having those conversations with your fiance, looking at your options. Corporate insurance isn't the only option. In many times, it will appear as the best option and the most affordable option, but there are so many other options available to you. Do your research, dig in, have the conversations. This is where being in another freelancer community and asking what other people are doing can be so beneficial for you to help you inside of that research. Any other thoughts on that, Marissa?
No, that's exactly what I was thinking too, because I did not know that you could get insurance outside of 9-to-5. One of those things of what even is a freelancer, I didn't know. I thought you had to have a job to have insurance. And so when I started asking those questions was when I found out there are so many different options out there. And I did not want my decision to stay to be something that I could find elsewhere. And so I encourage you, just like Rachel said, start asking questions in the different VA and freelancing groups and see what other people are doing out there, because it's there. You just got to find it.
So good. Lori's last name is Bridges, and I think that this is so builds a connection point here. Like Lori's being forced out of her 9-to-5, right? She's got some severance, but she has some space. So she didn't have time to build the bridge. She literally had to jump across to the other side. But Lori, make sure that you are looking for those resources, those points of connection, those points of learning, okay? Whether it's lives or podcasts or community groups, like find your resources to learn as much as you can to get this thing off of the ground for you. So super excited for you, even though it's not necessarily the scenario that you may have played out in your mind or that you would have wished upon yourself. This is an opportunity that you can grab a hold to and make a legacy change for yourself and your family. Absolutely. All right. Here's a question, my dear. How do you get your freelance business off the ground? Where do you start if you're not sure what skills you can offer? Marissa, what initial thoughts do you have?
That's a really great question. And I think Abby does a really great job of teaching us all this here in this Abby communities, is really just figuring out what it is that you are good at. And Rachel, you mentioned something really amazing in the beginning. You were a teacher and you took your teaching skills of managing those emails, managing those lesson plans, managing things week to week when it comes to organizing. And you started doing that for clients and for companies. I think a lot of times we don't see the value in ourselves because it's so normal to us and we're so used to it, and we don't place value on it, where other people will gladly bring you in and thank you and pay you for doing the things that you are already good at. So I would really just encourage you to explore. And when I say explore, sit down and write out, ask people who are close to you, ask friends, ask coworkers now, what are some things that you think I'm good at? They will help you pull that out of you. And then even just going into the different communities within all of the virtual savvy communities, Abby has some really great ways to help you work through pulling those ideas out of what am I good at and how can I use that in my freelancing business? I'm telling you, you already have it. You just have to uproot it and put it out there so that you can see it for yourself.
Absolutely. So, and I mentioned earlier too, like we here at the Virtual Savvy, we use the term virtual assistant, but that's a real umbrella term, same as freelancer, right? But if you haven't already, my dear, go get the virtual assistant checklist. That's a free download that we have. Team, if you're here, yep, there it is. Tiffany dropped in the comments. Grab that link, and that's a great place to start. Check out our blog. I know that we have multiple blog posts about choosing your packages, choosing your services, choosing your pricing, right? And walking through those pieces. If you're able to make an investment, we have products available for you that can help walk you through those different steps. You don't have to go it alone. And I think looking at the gifts talents and abilities that you have as an individual is 100% the place to start. In my story, I had teaching in my background and organization and planning and all of those things. I didn't realize how much those skills actually benefited me inside of my freelancing business and how much my clients valued that. I didn't realize until I was a month or two into one of my high paying clients that they hired me because I told them I was a kindergarten teacher. I didn't check all the boxes on the job op. In fact, I think I only checked like half of them. But because I've had that teaching background and how that correlated in their mind to what they needed done, it was part of their decision. And it made perfect sense once I learned the systems that I had to learn inside of their business. But your gifts, talents, and abilities that you have are business worthy. You can create a business out of who you are and where you shine. Don't try to create a business with services you think people are going to pay for, or you think are the hottest, most trendy services. Don't go that direction, because you're going to keep chasing that rabbit and you're never going to land. Okay. Go and start where you are with what you can offer. Can you pivot? Can you change? Can you grow? Can you learn? 100%. Please do. That's why we have Savvy Vault, right? But start where you are and start with what you know. You are already skilled. Katie says you are already skilled. I love it. Let me see if I missed any other questions. I didn't see any others come through. This was an amazing conversation, Marissa. What do you think, if you could tell our viewers one thing about the benefits and the joys of being a freelancer, from your experience, what would that be?
That's a great question. And from my experience, this has a lot to do with being able and having the ability to be able to be there for my family when they need me. And I can remember a time when that wasn't an option. My family would have a serious need for my presence, and I couldn't take the time off. I didn't have the sick leave. I didn't have any vacation time to cash in. And so being able to say, yes, I can be there for you when you need me is such an undescribable feeling that you can't put a price tag on. You cannot say it's worth this, because knowing that I can do that and still have the things that I love in my business, it's no greater joy, no greater joy. I can have my cake and eat it too, right?
Absolutely.
So that, in my experience, it's just being able to say yes to my family, yes to myself when I need to be able to do that without having to ask for permission from somebody else.
Oh, so good. All right, y'all. We're going to do a little exercise. This totally just came to my mind. So follow with me. And if you are watching, or if you have leaned over and look at your other screen, or you're paying attention, zone back in for just a second. Marissa said something really important, and that's saying yes. That's saying yes to yourself. Whether or not you are working at your 9 to 5, I hear you, I see you, I understand, and the end does not seem possible. You can say yes to yourself today. You can say yes to yourself. Does that mean that you're going to go write your resignation letter today? Please don't. Okay. No, that doesn't mean that that's what you're going to do by saying yes, but you're going to say yes to what? Building your bridge. Whether you are not at your 9 to 5, maybe you are a stay-at-home mama and you're just trying to figure out what this freelancing means. You thought it meant landscaping flowers outside, and now you're trying to figure out what your services could be, right? You can say yes to yourself to start building that bridge of what it looks like to have a freelancing business. Are you ready to say yes to yourself today? Type yes, all caps, in the comments. Say yes to yourself. Do it right now. Put it in the comments. Say yes. Whatever that looks like for you, whether that's, you know what, I'm working this 9 to 5 and I'm going to figure this thing out. I don't see any yeses, y'all. Okay. Lori's the first one I see. I know there's some yeses that need to be said today, y'all. Say your yeses. Tell yourself yes today and start building your bridge, whatever that looks like for you. Show up in the room. show up in the room. We are here to support you. We are here to encourage you. We do not want you to walk this journey alone. Check out our website. There's tons of free resources. If you're on YouTube, you already know the amazing videos that are there. Check out, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Announcement, Abby has a podcast. Go subscribe to her podcast. Y'all, there are tools here at the Virtual Savvy. There are other amazing tools out there in the online space. I see all those yeses, Barbara, Tina, Trisha, Shavante, and if I say your name wrong, please forgive me. Luani, Ash, say yes to yourself, y'all. Marissa, thank you for saying yes to being live with me today. You are such a gem. You are such a joy, and your story is so inspirational. Thank you for joining me today. All right, y'all, have a great rest of your Tuesday, and we will see you later. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.